the title itself, would you like to bet on athletes the same way you bet on stocks? Alex Rodriguez, among other investors and former MLB players, have launched their own sports stock exchange that hopes to get regulatory approval later in the year. Luckily for you, Fortune Fastlaner, we've got all the information that you need to know now. Let us talk about the app Mojo that you would want to try in an instant. Remember that while the first step is completing any of these amazing courses, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Vinit Bharara announced this week that he has launched a new company called Mojo, which is essentially a new stock market for sports. He details that legendary baseball slugger Alex Rodriguez is also a co-founder. Marc Lore will serve as his business partner, and the company has received funding from Thrive Capital. Mojo is a sports betting site, but not one in the traditional sense. With Mojo, you can buy shares in athletes hoping to predict their success on the field. If your player succeeds and your shares go up, you win. Vinit Bharara unveiled Mojo, a sports stock market that he hopes to launch later this year. The introduction of the company was well received after Bharara's involvement with co-founder Alex Rodriguez and Marc Lore of Thrive Capital with an investment of $75 million. Mojo is not a traditional betting site, but rather an investment site for high-level sports players. Buy shares in one of the available athletes in the market and watch as their performance determines your payout. Mojo is raising $75 million in Series A funding while starting their services in the fall. They say they want to build a new sports stock market where people can bet on athletes the same way they would on any other stock. The likely future success of Mojo's co-founders and its investors is what has led to the recent funding. Vinit Bharara is a childhood friend of Mojo CEO Steve Lore, who he has invested with in the past. These investments have included Diaps.com and Bustle Digital Group. In addition, Bharara has experience founding Cafe and preparing it for sale to Vox. Though Mojo's history is impressive, it also seems like a high-risk venture. Our understanding of the company comes from conversations with gaming and financial industry veterans, a short Bloomberg story about Mojo, and a LinkedIn post published earlier today by Bharara, who writes that he and Lore have been dreaming of this company since knocking around elementary school together. The company declined to answer some questions, saying it's too early in its trajectory. To clear things out, Mojo is a betting platform for professional sports that lets you bet on the success or failures of individual players, teams, or games. Unlike other betting platforms where you can buy future derivatives or contracts from the company, Mojo offers future derivative tokens that assign an individual player the kind of stat around estimating their value as seen in Major League Baseball. Founder's post is unclear how Mojo will determine these values, but he implies that it won't just be pulling numbers out of its figurative behind. It uses phrases like objective statistics and intrinsic value when talking about price integrity. A clearinghouse betting partner, Mojo will create smart contracts with an athlete's stats and invite parties to bet on these contracts. These participants can place bets according to a variety of factors like injuries or potential roster changes that might happen to an athlete. This gives off the vibe of being able to make money in cases where you've made a wager with another participant. Bharara is using a data-driven model to predict athlete injury, starting with one sport and eventually expanding to other sports. Mojo does not need buy-in from professional clubs, as all parties think it would be nice, but not necessary. Bharara's source replied it is unlikely in regards to whether players will be able to bet on themselves, given that Mojo has a plan to do complex engineering, advanced data science, and cutting-edge app design. We are still unsure if state gaming commissions will be able to sign off on Mojo, but it seems likely. Although the industry has already made a fortune, law enforcement is unsure if they will allow any new players in. Americans are hesitant to bet on individual athletes. Bradley Tusk, former deputy governor of Illinois and current investor in FanDuel, said predicting the future is a fool's errand, but that he doesn't see any noticeable faults in the concept of investing in startups through a stock market. Investors worry that people would want to buy and sell derivative equity in an athlete rather than place bets on games and performance. The question here is whether people would want to purchase derivatives as well. It feels Americans have an endless appetite for gambling and investing. Mojo better hope that Americans do not back away from the American version of HRFT as well. Lore said that he always wanted sports to have its own stock market. He added that for a lot of years he heard people say this, but nobody has been able to do it. For the concept to truly work, you need things like intrinsic value and liquidity. It sounds like fun to invest in teams we know about and make money as their share prices increase. This is like the football index. Unlike the football index that failed, you can use advice from your knowledge about which player will perform well on the field to make a good investment. Football Index was a UK-based betting site with a marketplace where shares of football players could be bought and sold as their worth rose and fell. The key to the Football Index was the dividend that shares offered, which would increase based on the player's performance. Shares in players who performed well consistently increased in price because they were popular. On top of this, the Football Index was paying out a daily dividend from player stocks. When the company had to cut these dividends, there was a mass decrease in share prices. Consequently, user accounts plummeted. In an effort to keep most of the company's shares, Football Index issued and sold new shares in order to maintain its liquidity. However, it wasn't just users buying and selling with each other, but also Football Index itself that helped create this liquidity. Between the time it announced its dividend cut and the time it made their announcement, they issued hundreds of thousands new shares on exchanges. Football Index shuts down. Thanks for all the memories. The big question is why player share prices are driven. A baseball card may go up in value if it has been getting more scarce and there are more fans of the player. These things happen with time and scarcity, but in Mojo, shares just float around and the prices can change based on who wants to buy it from me for a penny more than what I paid for it. Football Index had dividends, which was great until the company couldn't afford them anymore. Then it was disastrous. Shares need to have intrinsic value, which means their value should be based on objective factors and not speculation. In other words, the greater fool theory is risky because it relies on someone buying shares at an inflated price. It has been proposed that the solution to better protect data surrounding athletes would be for people to make bets on whether or not an athlete will perform well. If you are correct, you will make money. It is yet to be seen how this exchange will work in practice. Bharara said it will base the players on predicting uncertain athlete statistics. So one would think that the share price won't change just because they had a bad game or two. Going back to Mojo, this project uses your sports knowledge to help you gain skills in prediction betting. You go long when a player plays better than expected, giving you the advantage. If they play worse than expected, you win too. It should look like a Robinhood or Coinbase, but instead of companies and crypto, you're betting on athletes that you know and can watch play. But in the past, lawyers said it would be illegal for the founders to gamble on a sports game or individual athlete. Lawyers have given the founders advice to create something that people could bet on, such as trading cards. Founders have experienced creating the infrastructure for a trading platform, understanding the market, and selling it to customers. Then, 20 years later, in 2020, you know how online gambling became popular. That's when it all changed, so lawyers called Bharara and said, "Hey, we just always wanted to do it." The key is cumulative career statistics. Every player in every sport has a cumulative statistic that represents their excellence. This is what they are betting on, and this is what the team at ESPN are able to do when looking for a player's statistics. The prices of players change over time because there are projections for how their careers will go. If a player does better or worse than projected, the price will change accordingly. Players' career performance is determined by many factors, and how they'll perform is difficult to say before the player creates their career. There are some future bets and trades on the careers of players that require traders to have access to their money no matter what time it is. The hard thing about this is that every trade is made with just one person. So our team needs to be able to adjust prices in real time based on their latest projections for a player's career. That's why we need a really good team of data scientists and project managers. There are more than 50 people at this company who have the best skills across every area. And I think we have a special product. Our product is different from the other products on the market, and the only way to succeed in this space is by having a product that stands out from the crowd. And that's it for this video, Fortune Fastlaner. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person, as a token of your appreciation for all the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!